Welcome to Jerkin Around.
Welcome.
Today was actually more calm.
Yeah, the pool is filled.
The pool is filled.
Celebration.
Big time. Brady is up and standing, who we prayed for last week. That's a huge.
Praise God.
Yeah. And then we talked about paradigms and how we see things, making them come to life. How we see our kids battles. We talk all about our kids going through some battles right now.
I don't feel like it was as funny today, but that's okay.
Well, it was very somber. No, it wasn't somber.
It was, serious. A lot of good info.
Maybe. We think it is.
I'm all.
Yeah. Listen along.
Do I say anything?
Oh my God, we're just being normal.
Oh, jerking around.
Do you want to get your headphones?
Crystal takes her shirt off. Stick around. Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Jerkin Around. A podcast with Teisha and Crystal. Maybe we were meant to be on video.
Should we start?
Yeah. Let's pray. We haven't done that in a long time.
Okay.
Dear God, thank you for this day. Pray for the podcast, Lord, that you speak through us and you let us be a light to others in whatever way you want us to. Help us be authentic and real, but help it be something that reaches other people. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Oh my gosh, Kyle saying he lost a listener. So rude.
Because he said he got a ripping. And
so he stopped listening.
But he was dead serious. It was the other day, and he goes, "You lost the listener." Like, he really wanted to, say it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah. Yep, one down." Like, and I mean, I'm not going to lie, it bothered me.
Oh, it bothered me too. This morning, I'm like,
I know.
So I just texted him.
Yeah.
I love you. Listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
I like your feedback.
It bothered me.
I know. I really boosted him up the next week too, didn't I?
I know. He fell off before he got the boast.
Well, he's really feeling like he's a big deal right now at home. So he
is. He's kind of on one, yeah. He's like, "I'm her daddy." I'm all, "Oh, okay."
Sorry.
Oh, so Kyle tells me the other night that Crystal had to leave, so it was just...
It's getting weird.
Me and Kyle hanging out. No.
Ben was there, right?
Yeah, Ben was there. But Ben was off talking to someone or something.
Oh my gosh, last night Kyle's like, "Ben's not my friend anymore." I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
So I'm like, so Kyle's like, "Yeah, if the pool doesn't hold water, we're moving to Texas." I'm like, "You're not moving to Texas." I go, "Crystal's not leaving. She's not leaving her family." Like, I'm more someone who would move to somewhere.
Yeah.
You're never been someone that's moving away.
Yeah, I'm not leaving my family.
No.
Or his family.
And he goes, and he's like, "Oh no, we're going. I'm her daddy. I'm in charge." And I'm all, I was like,
and you were like, "No, I'm her mommy."
Yeah, and I would be like, wow. Yeah. Mom and dad are gonna have to talk about this.
No, he's really the big deal right now, and he's loving it.
Oh, he's loving it.
Uh-huh.
He's like, "No, I'm her daddy." And I was like, "Oh no, this is like," and in my head I was like, "Okay."
It's funny, I wish I could remind myself when I'm jerking him to treat him like this, because he acts so much better.
Yeah.
Like when he gets to feel like he has a say, and his say is way less. Like he's so much more less. But guys, we're gonna do this all day. I've had a sore throat.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be the whole time. But I know I need to remember that, because I'm like, "Whatever you want." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're the daddy. Whatever you want." And then he's like, "Well, I don't care." But normally he's all, "We are going to McDonald's tonight."
Yeah.
And it's like this statement, And I'm like, But
see, I feel sometimes when I give Ben too much of a say, it's like the snowball going down the mountain, and it grows and grows. Yeah. And then I'm like, hold on, now he's having a say about everything, and we're not doing that, So I just kind of like to give him a few says over things that I don't really care about,
I know, it's got to find the happy medium.
Yeah.
Because Kyle can snowball, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I don't have a say right now, but I feel like he feels like he has a lot of say.
Yeah, maybe it's
the illusion.
The illusion. I was just going to say.
Well, I always think it goes back to the numbers of the week, too. When you're keeping up on that, things just go a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the bad thing about that, we were talking about this the other day, was this on the podcast? The more you do more times during the week, the more they think that's the new normal. And that's
what I mean.
annoying.
It's all about the snowball. It's
maybe I take that away, too, We got to go back to being happy.
Yeah.
No, but I was going to tell you something else. Oh, the other night I got home. I was showing a house, and Teisha was like, typical, "Where are you? Are you home?" So I finally see my phone. I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
And it was like, I would say 1:30. So at 2, I'm like, "Hey, I'll be home soon." I walk in the door. Kyle and Teisha are just sitting by the pool talking. I'm just like, what the heck? She was dropping Fox off.
No, dropping Bear off. And then Fox wanted to swim. They were filling the pool.
And then she left at 9 p.m. Ben came over.
Just stayed for 8
everybody
hours.
came over. I love
that.
But
it was funny because Colin and I are just sitting there chit-chatting.
I'm like, what are you guys doing? I just enjoyed the pool. The two of them. Yeah.
Because we're the same, so we complain about the same things. We enjoy the same things. So
get mad about the same things.
Yeah.
And Ben and I are just like,
yeah.
Let me just clean up after you guys and you'll be happy. Like, Kyle gets mad about the kids. And I'm like, you do the exact same thing. Like, he got out Clorox wipes to clean something the other day, just left out. Like, they go in the laundry room. I know, that upsets you, that those are in our house.
Yeah, I'm like...
Because of the chemicals. But they're only for, like...
Yeah, well, I do use those for certain important things.
Yeah, yeah.
I will deviate from the all-natural if it's, like, bad. I'm not going to be gross, you know? Except for my deodorant.
Yeah.
I know, Maddie said I smelled like ketchup the other day. That's concerning, because I don't eat ketchup. So I'm like, what is like ketchup-y about me, you know?
That's like Swedish.
Yes. I know, it kind of grossed me out. I was like...
Did you ask Ben? Is it...
Well...
You know how they say pineapple makes it sweeter?
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe I gotta figure something out about that, because...
I've never smelled ketchup.
Yeah, it was weird. She was laying on me. That's weird too. Well, we were all on the patio furniture.
There's a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, and
she
then
wrestles at her house. Now my kids wrestle with her.
They
throw her
so
around.
Maddie was laying on me, wrestling me, and then she was like, "You smell like ketchup," and then I was kind of insecure about that.
Were you like, get off?
Well, yeah, and then I was all, I don't want to smell like ketchup.
How was Ken last night? I didn't get to ask you because Hudson came home real grouchy.
She was.
Yeah.
Ken was okay.
Yeah.
She wasn't great, but she wasn't sad.
Yeah.
She just
we should discuss.
Yeah. So
we have cheer tryouts right now.
Yes.
At Top Gun, where our kids go. And so they like try out and make a level, and then they go to level play where they practice with that level.
With the stunts.
And then they decide. But we've been doing this a long time. So we know it really doesn't matter what level they get, it matters how they do at these practices.
Right.
Because like we've gotten level 2 before, we thought, oh, we're level 2, and then they ended up making a 1.
Right.
And we weren't ready for that. We thought that was in the past.
Yeah. She wants to make a 4, so she got a 3-4. So she was like really bummed about the 3 because other people didn't get a 3, they only got 4s, and then she's been really trying to stretch and prove herself, and so she was like whacked. So then it made me whacked.
I was just gonna say, then who else got whacked?
Then I got whacked because I'm like, oh gosh, and then it just,
So how did you work through it? I think it's good insight.
Oh, well, after spiraling for a minute, no, I'm just kidding.
No, she's not kidding.
I just told her.
Everybody spirals when your kid's going through something.
Yeah, and like last year was a big hit to her confidence because she's always been a flyer, and then she wasn't, and then she
wasn't as much of a flyer. She's still a flyer.
And then she let it go, and she wasn't stretching like she should have been and doing what she should have been doing. It's her fault. But then her coach made a comment like, oh yeah, I would have put you up on this team if you would have been stretching. So then she was kicking herself, and then it lit a fire under her. But then now she's like, what if I make it 3? And it's just a lot of emotion, And so I just, after talking to Crystal and being in church, and I'm just like, Ken, wherever you're meant to be, you're gonna be. And like, whether it's a 3 or 4, it doesn't matter. Like, what's important is who you are, that you're loving people. Like, church was so good.
Sure, that was on my list.
It was about like, if like cheer doesn't matter, doing your best matters, and
making
trying hard
in people's lives.
Yeah, but making a difference in this world. Like, I'm trying to get her to focus on eternal things, And she's just been having a confidence thing lately. Oh, it's gonna make me sad because like, I just think as a girl, like, it's so hard. It was so sad. She came home from school on the last day of school, hysterical. She's not like a big crier. So when she cries, it's like me when I cry. I'm like, oh God. It's like so upsetting. And it was like, it like cut her. And I was like, oh, it's gonna make me sad. That's embarrassing to cut this.
It's not embarrassing. Everybody goes through that. And I just
felt bad for her. And I just can tell her confidence is down from last year. Like, like her different role in some kids on the team said, you don't do anything, and I think she's just having a confidence time, but it's good for her and it's healthy, and I want her to have these struggles now and like figure out your confidence comes from God. It doesn't come from if you're a flyer or if you're popular or boys like you. I want like her confidence to be true confidence, but it's so hard. Like as a girl too, it's like I hate how there's so much pressure on like how you look. It's just sad. I'm like so crying, like I'm gonna start my period maybe.
No, you just had your period. You can't use that every time. She uses it every time. No, I think that anyone.
Oh, it was sad though.
That,
you know,
that
like when
happens
you're
too.
like
Your gut.
Yeah, I was like sick for her. You know, I was like, and I'm like, and you're so beautiful, but like, you're just a beautiful person, and like, you care. She genuinely cares about people, and I'm like, you know, I just want her to know like that stuff doesn't matter. So I'm trying to be like, if you make it straight, that's where God wants you to be, and He's got a plan, and so I'm just trying to be positive, but it's hard because I'm also like, do really good, you know. But yeah. I'm mortified that I'm crying about.
Why? I cry all the time. I'm all, oh my God.
And I know kids get made fun of and get called ugly all the time. So I know that's just a part of being a kid. I was made fun of because I stubbed my bra, and like
I think that's partly why it resonates though, because you've been there and you know what that feels like.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got the poop job. You know.
Yeah. And I just don't. I want her to just. I didn't have that growing up. Exactly. At 18, I got boobs. I'm like, I want her to know that she's beautiful because of like who she is and because God made her beautiful, not because of how you look. You know. And it's so hard to instill that in
kids these days.
Yeah, and a daughter too. It's hard. You know.
Yeah. I think that's a big story though. I remember when Tim Tebow and his wife talked at church, that was one of her biggest things was God confidence, not world confidence.
Right.
Like you're beautiful because of how God made you.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. I think this is a normal thing. I remember when Hudson came home from school. I mean, Hudson gets it a lot because of her freckles.
Which I think she's gorgeous.
I know, but
we're like older and can see
it's like
it's
an acquired taste.
And
like
like
a lot of older people,
Yes.
but like little kids.
Well, I think when you're older, you notice that different is beautiful. But when you're a kid, you just want to fit in. You don't want to stand out.
Yeah, oh yeah. In the kindergarten, she came home once and was hysterical because they were making fun of her freckles. And it's like something you can't change.
Yeah.
So she was like in the fetal position and I was like, sick. Oh. But now she kind of rolls with it. It's weird. They call her leprechaun, she said. And like, she's like, tell me, she's like leprechaun. And kids will point to her. It's so sad. They're like, Mommy, she has mud all over her face. Like they say that because in the summer, it gets like...
they like join.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like she has learned to just kind of roll with it. And I think because she has so many other people, like adults, tell her she's pretty because she's different, it kind of counteracts. Like Maddie will be annoyed. It's always about Hudson and her red hair.
Yeah.
And Maddie's like pretty. So
They're both beautiful.
She like gets mad. She thinks she's not pretty. I'm like, it's not a pretty off.
No. And
Maddie
just looks more normal. So it's not as like different where you're like, wow, you're beautiful. You know, but she is just as beautiful. It's
but I'm
just
thankful
not
for the randoms because it really has helped her wear that.
And it's
like,
because it's not just your family.
No,
your family
you're like,
you're like, oh, you have to love that. Yeah.
No, it's hard to watch the kids go through things. Maddie, I was telling you, Maddie went to her first church service and I moved her church groups because we're going to Liberty now. And oh my gosh, she doesn't really complain. She got in the car. I hate that group and I'm not going to Liberty. And I'm like, oh, here we go. But it's going to be a journey. Like this is going to be a journey of a lot of that. So I got to gear up for it because you know, you always want to question your choices when your kids struggle. Like, did I do something? But you have to remember, struggle is healthy. It's good for them. And that's one of the reasons I did want to move her, is because I remember when I got to college, it was like shock. I didn't know anybody, no one knew me. And I want her to be able to, that's something that Kyle's not as good at, is like, I feel like you could drop me anywhere and I would figure it out. Because my parents didn't really help me. They've dropped me many places. Like, I never went anywhere with a buddy. Never. Like, never joined a team with a buddy. Never. My parents didn't have any buddies. So I was always alone. And so I learned how to like, oh, here we go, you know. Yeah. Whereas my kids, especially Maddie, she's always had a buddy. I feel like her and Ken have always been together. Yeah. And like she's done cheer with Casey or Ken at school, volleyball with Casey. Like she's never really gone somewhere without a buddy. Yeah. And I want her to learn her like inside. You have to depend on yourself and the big guy. Yeah. Totally. Whereas Hudson made the different team last year, so that was its own battle. Yeah. But you grow from it, but it's not easy. No. No. Mm-hmm.
I'll be glad when this week's over and things are just settled.
Yeah, they know soon enough. Yeah. Yeah. No, but she was so cute. I was driving over to cheer yesterday, and she's been doing stretching privates because stretching is like the thing.
And every night she's like, stretch me, and I'm all, like, I don't know what that one's doing.
But she's initiating it.
She's fully taking.
Which is what you want. You don't want to push them for you. No. Because I think as parents,
well, that's what I didn't do last year, and then I was kicking myself like, should I have made her stretch all year? But I kind of just...
look at her. She's doing it on her own.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's pressure with kids sports. Like Broxton, I'm like, should we practice hitting every day so his hitting gets better? Yeah. But if he doesn't want to hit better, then he has to figure it out.
Yeah. And like
there will be a time where you care. Just like Hudson used to go to school, literally, like this, like crawl out of bed and literally.
She used to sleep in her clothes the night before.
It was like, oh my gosh. Kyle was so embarrassed because his family, everybody's real doctored up, especially his kids. Like it's like 20 tie braids with cute bows, the cutest outfits. And then Hudson's just like rolling out of bed and we carpool with his family. So it's like, and I was like, Kyle, I want her to care as long as she doesn't care because one day she'll care and you never go backwards. You never care less once you care. Like, and I didn't care when I was growing up. That's why my mom gave me a mullet, which I didn't appreciate because I have curly hair. So if you just brush curly hair, it doesn't look good. And that's what I would do and I would just go to school. And so my mom's like, give her a cut where she doesn't have to do it. So yeah, when it's spiky on top, you don't have to do it. It doesn't like fro up. But then when you have a tail, it's so awful. So that's why she thought the African do would be a good choice. Like the word, just the label of it doesn't sound like something that would be perfect for me.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
And then like layered bob, it was layered bob or African do. Oh my gosh. It's like so clear the answer.
Layered bob all day.
Yeah, all day. I could do a layered bob for weeks.
Yeah.
No, we went the other way. And I was like pulling my hair. Did I ever tell you this story? Oh, I was pulling my hair out of the guy's hand. It was like in Scottsdale. He was like on TV. And I was like, you mother. And I was like, gonna be in junior high. I was in 6th grade. And I was saying every bad word. And he's like, ma'am, your daughter, like trying to cut. And then I jumped out of the van at the stoplight on our way home because I'm like, Ma, you ruined my life, Mom. You ruined my life. And which she did. Like it wasn't a light thing. I got picked on for a whole year about my hair. Because I looked like a boy, because it was spiky. So then we got a perm, and then I had like a full, like, fro.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then they would sing rough and stuff with your Afro puff, go on with your bad self, every day to me. It was so special. And then I was bigger too, so it was like a double-edged sword. And then I started wearing my brother's clothes. He's 6 years older than me. That's not normal. It was like so bad. My boyfriend, the first day of school in 7th grade, he saw me. You know how you have a boyfriend and you don't talk all summer? Yeah. And so I was all, hey, and he's like, ah, and like ran and then told a friend to tell me I'm single, you know, and it was like the worst. But
terrible.
I got really funny. That's how I got really funny. Is like no one would talk to you unless you like are funny.
You're funny? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's so rude, but that's how I got it. Because I like...
You do have a great personality. No, I'm being serious. Oh my God.
You felt like a jerk picking on me.
No,
that's how you get funny though.
Yeah.
That's probably how you got funny with the
character.
I know, yeah. I'm like hidden funny, where it's not like I'm funny to everyone, you know? No one knows but you.
I don't think so, but when we're together, it's funny.
Yeah.
So I guess that's probably why I don't see the hidden.
Yeah. Like, I don't think the people at Sherwood think I'm funny. They're like, your mute friend, you know, that stands there and is
smiles.
reading. I'm all, you know, reading the book.
Make small talk.
Oh.
Yeah. My mom, though, I got picked on a ton in school, and my mom never felt bad for me. And I think when someone doesn't feel bad for you, you just learn no point in feeling bad because no one cares.
Well, that's
Secretly
why,
felt bad.
yeah, that's how I try to be with my kids. Like, all the times things happen and I'm all, oh no, and then I'm all, well, like I remember someone didn't want to play with Kent, and I'm all, well, you don't want to play with them anyways. Like, I wasn't like, no, that's sad, you know? Because it doesn't help you to feel sorry.
No, and Kyle, no one felt sorry over there at all.
No, and no one felt sorry for me growing up, and I'm better for it.
Yeah, I do think that. I
mean, maybe they did, but they didn't show me. Yeah.
No, I just don't think it doesn't help anyone for pity and like
Victim.
feeling bad. It doesn't help. I read a book once called No Excuses, and the guy had no arms or no legs. He's just a torso. And it had like hands, but they were really short and like really short feet or something, or no feet. I think, no, maybe no hands. I think he had no hands. He's a motivational speaker. The book was about like his mom would sit him in the high chair and put the food in front of him and just let him battle. And like he couldn't get it in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
It was like god awful the way he described it.
I've seen that too. He like spoke at something.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And he walks though.
Yeah.
I think he does have, but like his mom would just like, he would cry for hours because he was so hungry. And she'd be like, you're going to have to figure it out. And so of course, anyone would feel bad for a kid with a disability like that, 100%. And he was like a star wrestler because his mom was like, you got to figure something out.
Yeah.
Like they didn't help him whatsoever. And you would think it's malicious, but he respects his parents and he loves his parents because it made him have no excuses. And that's the book like it's about no excuses, but his parents, he said inside they would cry at night, but they never showed him that. They just said, you're fine, you got to figure it out. You were born without arms and legs, like you got to figure it out.
Right.
That was your gift. And they never looked at it like they like empowered him through it. And now it's his testimony. And now he's a motivational speaker like all over the world.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times our difficulty or our disability, whatever that may be, like it's also your secret power if you use it. That's why I loved working with special ed kids, because their differential is what caused them to qualify for learning disability. It's not that they're super high in one area and super low in another, and that differential, how big it is what makes them qualify for special ed. But if you find their superpower, the one that's high, instead of worrying about this one, they could go and do great things. Like me, I have so many of those things.
Yeah.
Down here.
Well, CJ, I never really feel bad for my other kids. I mean, Ken I cried about today, but not normally. But I always feel bad for CJ because like of what he's been through, and then I know what it feels like, so I like
can feel it,
and I'm like, and I have to make myself purposely not feel bad because I'm like, nope. That's not going to help you to, because it's all a mindset, you know? And I'm like, he needs to look at it like, hey, yeah, this happened, but like, I have a mom that loves me, I have 2 moms that love me, you know, and not feel bad about it because, and I always tell him like, what happened to you, what you went through is going to, later in life, you don't know now why you went through it, but you're going to know why, and it's going to be something that you can help other people with later. And so I always try to.
That's so good. So I know a friend growing up that her dad wasn't very involved in her life.
Yeah.
And her mom would always say, what are you going to do? Your dad's not involved. What are you going to do? Feel bad about yourself? Or are you going to go on and know, my dad's not involved. No one cares that your dad's not involved in your life.
No
and
one
it was like
care.
so good.
Yeah.
And even though she felt awful that her dad would never show up, he never did this, that, her mom felt awful for her, but she knew if she identified as that, like identified as someone that doesn't have a dad, then it'll be your crutch.
Right.
Instead, and now actually because she didn't make it this big thing, her and her dad have the best relationship.
Yeah.
You know, as like someone grows up, you know, for men, I think it's really hard. Like growing up, I would be like, hey dad, where's mom? Like, I didn't want to talk to my dad. It's just different. The dads are just around, especially for girls.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to talk to your dad. You want to talk to your mom, and then your mom tells your dad, and then that's how it works.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times when there's a divorce and the dad gets a bad name for being absent, I think without a woman helping him know what to do,
they don't know how to.
They don't know what to do, especially with girls. They just don't know.
Oh, yeah, Ben like yells at Ken all the time.
Yeah.
She's all, Dad's so mean, you know?
Yeah, like the woman is the one that like
bridges
helps
it.
Yeah. And so with growing up with just a dad without a mom going, call her, you need to show up. They don't read cues.
Yeah.
They're not, a lot of times I feel bad, but what happened in this scenario is her mom never fostered that relationship to be negative, so it never was.
Right.
Like, yeah, he didn't show up, he's busy, whatever. Like, it wasn't like, your dad sucks. I knew he wouldn't show up. You know, it didn't foster this negativity, so she didn't create that narrative in their mind.
Yeah.
And now they have the best relationship. He grew up a little. Things changed. You know, when you get to the later
how
part.
It's powerful your mind is.
Oh,
you know?
it's crazy.
Yeah.
We were talking to Tana, my sister-in-law. Their neighbor just he's run a few races, but one of them was an ultra, I think, or something. It's 250 miles.
Oh my God.
It's literally to run from here to Flagstaff. Literally. In the terrain, you just sleep on the side of the road. Like, in the trails, you just, take a quick nap and just keep running. Like, for 2 days, you run 250 miles. It's mind-blowing that, like, your body can do that. Run here to Flagstaff is insane. The elevation of that.
Well, 250 is here to Flagstaff and back, because Flagstaff's like 120.
Yeah. I don't know. It's something crazy.
That's crazy.
Maybe, the 120 was the other race. He won that one.
Oh.
So he ran at 250, and then he ran the Flagstaff one, and
I
he
didn't
won.
even know they made races like
He
that.
won, like, 6 miles ahead of people. Like, how do you run?
So you sleep and wake up and run, and eat and sleep and run.
But you gotta know while you're resting, other people are still running. So it took him 2 days, no sleep, just running for 2 days.
Sounds terrible.
But like the fact that your body can do that, I'm all, it's done. My body's telling me it's too heavy, you know?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I do like 5 squats. I'm all, well, that's time. you
Yeah,
know?
the mind is so powerful. I'm reading a really good book right now. It's called Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life. It's so good. And I guess like the guy, it's like the real writer is narrating with another guy. It's like an interview. It's really good. And I think he's the one that wrote The Secret, which was a little weird growing up. It was like it's taking God out of it.
Yeah.
But really, the guy talks about it. He's like, the energy is from God, but your mind is what resonates your energy. So if you can see something one way, the energy that you put forth it will never get you there.
Right.
Because you're seeing it, that like the mind starts the body's energy.
Yeah.
But it all comes from God. God made us all the same. It's like really interesting. He's like, no one is made different than anyone else. You might be smarter or this or that, but really it's the amount of work that you put towards something that makes you better at something.
Yeah.
And like, so we're all given the same opportunities. And if you don't like where you are, you need to change it. You know, like you need to change your trajectory, but it starts here. Not just envisioning that you can do it, but believing it and like seeing it. And then your energy will go towards it because and I'm so big on that. Like, I remember when we were wanting to move, I kept looking at this mountain, and I would be like, I want to live there. Like, I want to live there. I'm going to picture it. Like, I want to live on land in this area. And I would be like, I'm going to just picture it. And every day I'd get out of my car and I'd look at the mountain and I just picture it. Like, one day I want to have land on that mountain. I just swear. And it happened way sooner than I thought it would. But I was like, God's telling us to be content. But I was like, but I just envision it. Like, I can see it. Like, whatever you see.
Yeah.
Even in Big Brother, did you guys ever watch Big Brother? We used to, but it got a little weird.
Yeah.
Caleb, he was always like, I see the confetti. I see the confetti at the end when they win, like confetti falls on them. And he would say it throughout the whole thing. And I'm like, because me, I'm like a motivational, I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet he's going to win because he can see it so clearly. Yeah. Like you can see that it's going to happen. And sure enough, the confetti, like he won. And I was like, it's so powerful what you see yourself doing.
Yeah.
Because in Shira was the first time I think I learned that. There was a quote that said, I still remember it. The mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it. As long as you believe 100%. And that was like the first time I ever heard something like that. Yeah. My mom always told me I could do anything. She was very good like that. Yeah. But having someone else, I think, say it beside your mom, you know, you're like, Mom.
Yeah.
Okay, she just loves me. But like having someone else say that, I was like, this is real. Like you can really do anything you decide. And I went from zero to hero during that time because I was in tumbling my whole life and it was like 2 spots, ooh, you know, like it was, no, I'd be at the end and I'd be like, my turn. She's like, pause, 2 spots, you know, and I swear, you guys, this is the truth. And so they'd be like, ready? And they'd be like, ooh, the back handspring. I'd be like, getting up, you know, pull my wedgie out of my leotard, and I'd be like, thank you. But I only saw myself as like the big kid that no one wanted around. Because like, and I think that's why you get upset about Kennedy. You don't want her to see herself, because I've seen it in Maddie's group of friends. They did this thing a few years ago that very much upset all of us moms, boys and girls. There was a big group of boys and girls that were all friends. And one night, they all had this party, non-drinking, you know, like it was like a party. Yeah. And they rated each other on a scale from 1 to 10, which is the worst idea I've ever heard of in my life.
It's so dumb.
And it was a stupid idea by somebody. And
I know.
Yeah. And they rated each other on like, I think it was hotness or something.
Yeah.
And a few of these people got rated not so high. And since then, I have seen them like morph. It like stuck with them. And I saw one of them the other day running, like they're out of school and like they didn't have school on Thursday. And I saw him running with like a vest on, like to get in shape. And I was like, that damn thing.
It's
like,
sad.
And our other friend, like, I'm friends with the mom. She's like, since then he's been like at the gym, like protein shakes, and he looks amazing. But like, it's so sad that one day, that one thing totally changed.
And these are kids.
They're kids, and that sticks with them. I think that's why you get emotional. Is because like when they called you flat, we joke about it, but it's true. And they put, you know, she put some tissue in there.
I showed them though.
And then they pushed her in the water.
Back, baby.
Yeah.
No.
Tell them what they did to you.
No, but I do think that's why I get emotional. Is because when she came home, she thought she was ugly.
Yeah.
And I was like, it broke my heart, you know, because she was like, I said I have a good personality, it's just I'm ugly. And she was just like, I don't know why. And she was bawling. And I was like, oh, it was sick.
How upset she was.
Yeah, and that she believed it. Not because people can say mean things. It's like, whatever. But to believe that about yourself is more what upset me. I'm like, I don't want her believing that, you know?
Yeah.
But
because then your paradigm.
Right.
Paradigm is so powerful. I first learned about it in 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Person. That book is so good. And I like to reread it all the time because you forget. I need to reread it again. Think win-win, so good. Like all those things. But your paradigm is the way you see something. So if you see it, like even in marriage, I thought about this the other day when I was listening to the book. Again, like I said, Kyle's acting right. I think it's that I'm seeing, like I'm not annoyed and I'm not as stressed out lately, so I'm not feeling as resentful, you know? So then everything he does isn't bothering me. Because when you're on empty, then you see everyone is taking advantage of you, right? Because you're on empty. So then everything he does, like leaving out the Clorox thing, I'm like, of course, the little lady will get it, you know? It's like your whole paradigm is, I'm being taken advantage of, look at everyone taking advantage of me. What happens when you believe it, then you see it in everything you do.
Well, yeah, it's like if you're looking for a yellow slug bug on the road, all of a sudden you see them everywhere where you never noticed them before. What you are seeking out, you will find.
Yes, and that's like where it goes into the secret or whatever. But, and you know, Paris really believed in that. Going back to Paris all the time. No, but she always saw herself as a star.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're going into Illuminati and all getting on I'm not trying to do that. Just saying. She said that in jail, they would play The Secret.
Yeah.
And, like, she started to believe, okay, one day I'm going to be out of here and I'm going to be a star.
Yeah.
And, like, she went there. Like, not everyone, just because you have famous parents, becomes a star.
No, not at all.
But she, like, saw herself that way, but it started with her dad calling her star. She could see it, and you go there. So I think it's so important as parents, we counteract how the world sees them.
I'm gonna need you to start calling me Star. No, I'm just kidding.
Still never giving up.
First class flight.
Yeah, I do envision that though. It's wrong.
Yeah.
This sounds so shallow. I'm not shallow.
Edit this. No, I
know.
don't care.
I do think people think I'm shallow.
I think it's just goals. We all have goals.
Yeah, and I came from a lower class, so to me, it's like I'm proud that I worked hard enough to be able to do that. You know, it's not about like. I do like the luxury. No, I don't think I'm better than anybody. But it's like something like a goal, like a, you know,
a bucket list.
Yeah, a bucket list. That's what it is. It's a bucket list.
It's not like every flight, just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
Just one flight on it. Yeah. But no,
No.
But when you envision though, it's crazy. Like,
So it's just important the way we like breathe life. Like I tell Kyle, breathe life. Don't breathe critiques. Because we have to remember, we are the voice in our kids' heads.
Yeah.
So what we said, my mom said, you can do anything. I believe that all the time. All the time. Like, I can do anything. I believe it all the time. And like when hardship hits, and that's what we were talking about this week with Kennedy, like we have to train her. We're not raising her together, but we have to train her that when hardship hits, hardship, not shit.
Yeah.
Both. You have to train your mind to go, okay, I'm going to fight. I'm going to do this because that's what I did then and it worked. Now this is what I have to do now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we have to train them.
Which she does do.
Yeah.
Like she is really good in that way. And I feel like it's because of you too, you know, because we're together.
Well, we talk. The carpool is so important. I advise, make sure you carpool with people that believe the same thing.
Yeah, because like in the car, you know, you're talking and like even yesterday, I was like, oh, I'm glad you're taking today because I knew the talk that she would give her. And she's like, she's so cute. She was stretching in the car, you know, but it's cute because it's like, I know she's breathing into her the things that I would. So I feel like I drove her there.
Yeah.
And not even.
And I'm not her mom, so it's a little less like.
Yes. That's why it's so good. Like I feel like she listens even more to you than she does to me, you know?
Yeah. And that's why I was like, so I'll ask, how was Hudson last night? You know, because right when they get in the car is when they unload the things. By the time they get home, and that's what Hudson said, we already talked to Ava's mom in the car. I don't want to talk again.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they get in the car, they say all the things. So if you don't get in the car, you miss it.
Yeah.
My kids, they're not big talkers.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the book is so good. You don't read that stuff, but it's so good. And like it's just like so important about like the way you see things. Like I remember Paige, our good friend who I was able to coach, she came from a really hard life. And so her mind is very powerful because she's had to overcome everything in her whole life. And so when she made the team in high school, she wasn't a tumbler. She never really did cheer. And her mom, the woman that was raising her at the time would say, I just tell her every night, believe and picture yourself doing it. And so this girl didn't have like a back handspring, which is like, I say a level 2 skill. And Paige wanted to get a full, which is like a level 5 skill. And so she didn't really have a back handspring. She just barely got it. She's like, every night I picture that I have a full. And I was like, okay, good for you. You know, like, we have a lot of work to do. And we're like, when you're technique centered, you're like, okay, there's so many steps to get there.
Yeah, because you don't want to just throw
I don't think we'll have enough time this year for you to develop into that. That's like a big goal. And I remember going, okay, that's awesome. Like, I'm very into the mind. I'm like, good for you. Literally got a full in like 4 months. It was insane. And like anyone that was on the team with her will say, Paige is full. Like, and competed it by February. Like, I have the chills. It's one of the most mind-blowing things that I've ever seen in real life.
Yeah, that's insane.
But she, every night before she went to bed, I fully have the chills. She would picture herself doing a full. And we would do this thing where we would vision the routine before we do it. And I remember sometimes I would picture falling. It sucked because you didn't mean to. And then I'd fall. And I was like, you idiot.
Yeah.
But like
intrusive thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like Beltramo talked to my team once and he was like, you can't help sometimes the thoughts that pop in your head. Because you picture and you're like, oh, that's not how I want it to go. But he's like, but what you can help is like trying to change the course. Of like, okay, I saw that. When you were little, raising a kid and you picture them falling on their head. Oh, I hated that stuff. Oh my gosh, on Vanderpump, they called it like postpartum OCD. Because she always envisions the bad things happening. And I'm thinking,
well, that's normal.
I think every mom does.
I'm picturing CJ driving in his permit and
I think that's
and I'm like, okay, get out. It's intrusive thoughts. And you have to learn to control your mind.
Yeah, I don't think that.
That's normal.
Yeah, so it's.
Well, I think it goes hand in hand. It's the discipline of picturing what you want and pushing out the intrusive.
Yeah. But the point is everyone has intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
It's, again, everyone has anxieties about things. I have anxiety. I mean, you can if you let it control you, but you have to learn to manage because everyone gets those thoughts. It's like
that's
normal.
That's what I love about, you would think, see, that's not a nice thing, I'm not gonna say it, but what I love about physical activity and working out hard is that that's the best way to discipline your mind. Like when you're on empty in a workout and you have to decide to quit or keep going, I think that's so good for your mind to have that discipline. Because that's when I really started to learn, like, you need your mind. Like I remember being at cheer thinking, I might physically die today. Like my everything hurts, I can't breathe. And she's saying again, and you have to like dig deep and like, okay, what's down here?
Yeah.
What's that inner voice? Is it quit or is it fight? And my deep down inner voice is very strong. But I think I
don't have that with working out though. That's the problem. It's weird. It's like it gets a little hard. I'm okay, I'm done,
You did when you were younger though.
Yeah, I did.
I don't anymore either.
Mattress.
No, I did when I was younger.
Yeah, and
but
like
now
Teisha
I don't.
one day would decide, so there's like, when we would run at cheer, we'd run a few miles. And there was like an order that you ran. Like it was, again, it's how people see themselves. There was always Jan at the front.
Yeah.
And like, she's so Hudson. I feel like Hudson could just be like, I'm gonna go. But Hudson's mind is so powerful.
Yeah.
She's like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
She literally will tell you, I can do that. And like, then she does.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? Whereas Maddie is more like, I don't think I can do it. I'm nervous. She's more like me. Kyle's more like, but there was the people in the front, then there was the middle, then was the back. So for a while, Teisha would run very last because she was a little bit lazy when she first started. But again, she never had someone believe in her. I think that's the key. You were never a part of something. So it was her first time on the team. Then all of a sudden one day.
And like I didn't have a motivational parents to be like, believe in yourself.
Don't you love Summer?
Oh my gosh, it's literally constant. Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Do you need to answer?
No, I'm just gonna text him.
They want to plan for the day, huh?
Oh, Bear tried jumping in the car to come see Broxton. I'm like, no.
Oh, he totally can, but they're sleeping.
No, I'm like, it's 9 o'clock. You can chill at home. He needs to watch Fox and the dogs, and Ken's there. They all need to watch each other.
Dogs. Plural. But then I think as you started to believe in yourself and get confident, one day she'd be like, that's it, I'm running with Jana. You don't understand. Jana, no one ran with Jana. Jana lapped us. And the field was massive. It was bigger than a track. It was like 1.5 on the track was 1 lap on the field. So 3 laps of the field was a mile rather than 4. So it's a big, so Jana would lap the whole team. That's how fast Jana was. And Teisha one day was like, I'm gonna run with Jana. We're like, oh, okay. This girl from back here, sure as S-H-I-T, she ran with Jana. Like when this girl decides something, she does it. Yeah, that's like the thing about her. It's getting her to want to decide it.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. Whereas me, I'm like, yes. But I have to like really work at like believing in myself. But when she decides we're gonna do this, she's doing it. She is for sure doing it. I feel like Kennedy is like that too. But it's getting her to have buy-in that she can do it.
Yes.
There is like a push back. I can't do it. Once she says she can, they're gonna do it. Yeah. And they do it times 10. Whereas my doing it's like a 4, but it's a 4 consistently. But I never get to the 10s. And like you guys, when you decide, it's like, oh, there it is. Yeah. They did it. They sure did it.
When you decide you can fit Kyle,
No, we're not going there. We're on such a paradigm talk. Yeah, but so many things. I think that even for me with like my weight loss life. I think there's such a narrative in my head from being the fat kid that there's so much negativity up here that one day my goal is to fix that.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what plan I do, it's always a plan. It's never a lifestyle because I always I think I see myself a certain way and it's hard to break that for some reason.
Right. Like you need to start envisioning yourself as
fit. Yes. Like strong. But again, I'm never really working on that. I'm working on so much weight centered, you know, instead of strong.
Dieting.
Healthy,
instead of you should just envision yourself fit.
I'm trying.
And nothing else. Don't even worry about the diet.
I know, I'm trying. It's very hard for me though.
Yeah.
All of it is so hard.
It's so hard. Sorry to jump in, but something that's helped me is working with Nick in physical therapy and the older patients and how they can't play with their grandkids or they retired just to start going to the doctor.
Yeah.
I don't want that. So they're starting now to be able to run around with their grandkids.
Yeah.
Walk Disney all day with their grandkids.
Yeah.
For me right now, I'm skinny is my focus, but then I think of future me, and I'm that would suck to be I can't physically do it because I didn't take care of my body back then.
Stephanie Mallory, that's one of her biggest things. She's very powerful with the mind. That's why I loved working with her. But her biggest thing was with the kids. Yeah. I want to sustain this life forever with the kids. But I think that even people that want money for retirement, they vision it.
Yeah.
They make decisions backwards to get to that goal.
Yeah.
You know?
It's investing in your health.
Yes. So I am a good goal setter. I envision the end in mind.
Yeah.
I'm very into that. And then I work backwards. But with that issue, it's like a roadblock. When I envision it, it's one of the things I have a hard time even envisioning.
Yeah.
And I need to work on that. And fix the...
I think everyone has something they struggle, you know?
Yeah. And again, I think it's the things that we were told, growing up. No offense to my brother, but when they'd have the oversized load on the freeway, he'd be like, we need to get those for this car. He's like, how did, always
He's
made those
just
jokes.
so funny. So
He
it's
is. But you don't realize then you identify as that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's me.
Yeah.
And when the teachers would always be like, she's struggling, in school. You start to see that, and you start to
When I was always really small, so everyone always said how small I was, and then I always think I'm small, but even when I was not small.
You saw yourself as small.
And then I got back.
And then I saw you as small.
Yeah.
She wasn't that small.
And then I see pictures, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, but you always
bad.
have envisioned that. And
Yeah.
see, I always have envisioned it's a battle.
Yeah.
So I inadvertently stay in this mindset. It's weird. That's really something I want to break. But yeah, that's how I goal set with everything else like that. I just don't with that, and I need to work on that. Yeah. But that's Guatemala is one of those things that I've envisioned for so long. Taking our family on a mission trip. So I'm really nervous about it.
I'm excited.
I was going to tell you,
guys.
this is what I was going to tell you, Dana. I thought, it's kind of like the trailer. I was it's going to be so good for the kids to live in the trailer. It's going to humble them. But I didn't realize how much it would humble me. And I feel this trip, I thought it was going to be all about the kids. And I think that God's already prepping me that I think you're going to learn a lot on this trip too. Because, you get used to certain things.
Luxuries.
Yeah. It's different. It's going to be challenging. Hotels are this sounds so bad, but my happy place. I see that Airbnb commercial. I think it's brilliant, by the way. Have you seen it where it's envisioning what you want. And they're bedtime for the kid. And they're a kid's bedtime shouldn't determine your bedtime. And they're in a hotel. And they put the pajamas on the kid and then they all have to get in bed because the baby has to go to bed.
Yeah.
And they're just because it's their bedtime doesn't mean it's your bedtime.
Yeah.
Then they blurp them into an Airbnb and they put the kid to sleep upstairs and then the parents are drinking and hanging out downstairs. And I'm yeah, that's so smart. So then they did this one this week where it's a work trip and they all go into their hotel rooms and one guy's crawling to try to see everybody, what's going on? Yeah. And they're this doesn't have to be your trip. And then they envision them at a house, there's music in the backyard. And I was I want that. Yeah. But I don't. I to go into my room, a hotel.
Yeah, you're a very hotel person.
I'm a hotel person. Some people are Airbnb.
We could do an Airbnb. She's God, no. I don't want to be in a house with you. I'm oh.
I don't want to do a house.
Yeah.
You know why?
I don't mind a house.
And Ben might mind a house.
Yeah, I do
because I have to clean this thing all the time. Go ahead.
No, I sound disgusting. Just loser.
Go ahead.
I when you come back and your bed's been made.
Yeah, that's what I like.
It's all cleaned up.
That's what I like.
And I like the amenities of a hotel. I there's a coffee shop downstairs.
Yes.
I don't want to make my own coffee.
I don't want to cook.
I do that at home. Well, Ben does.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's more for Ben. Ben doesn't want a house.
Yeah.
I have to clean up at night. I have to do dishes. I have to grocery shop. Where's the vacation for me?
Yeah, I hate that is one thing I don't like about Airbnb. I don't want to cook on vacation.
No. And grocery shop, it's like I'm home.
No, I want to eat
I don't want to do
every
any of
meal
that.
out.
I don't want to make my own
So
coffee.
getting served, exactly.
I don't want to do any of it.
No.
So a hotel, we go to bed, wake up, go downstairs, get the coffee, go back up. It's like, and the bed's made, and it's not my reality whatsoever.
No.
It's completely different. That's what I like about it. And I don't want to be like, I am on, and then when I'm off, I'm off. Like, I recharge alone. So, like, being in a hotel, like how Jen did that for 2 weeks in a house with all those people, I start to, like, I can't do it. Yeah. I cannot be with people that much. Even Kyle, I'm like, okay, I'm done for the day. I don't want to talk for, like, an hour.
Yeah.
Like, I just need a break from people. And if I, like, sit and I'm quiet, people are like, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Yeah.
I hate that. Nothing's wrong. I just done talking for today. Yeah. But anyways, so I think, like, I've looked up some of the hotels and stuff, but luckily we are in hotels. When I used to go on mission trips, we would stay with, like, host homes and stuff. It was so cool. But I wanted to do this for Maddie. I've told you this story, but this is like when I was in 7th grade at Joy, they got Tom, who we're going with, he's who married us. He had a huge, massive impact in my life. There's so much to Tom that it's like, Tom's house, like, I think about all the time when kids are over. We would go to Natalie, my best friend growing up, her house, and Tom would be like, so, what's going on? It's funny because I always think when Maddie has friends over, they don't want me around. But why I loved going to Natalie's house is her dad hung out with us, and I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And, like, my parents were older, so they were like, you know, and, like, Tom was not. He's like, what are we doing today? You want to go to the store? And he, like, talked to us. And it's funny, you think as, like, kids, like, Casey was over and they were in Maddie's room and I was like, oh, they probably don't want to talk to me. I'm like, actually, Kenzie and Casey love to sit and, like, talk to me when they come over, and I forget that. I'm always like, oh, I'll do my thing.
Yeah.
But Tom always, like, hung out with us. So I was always, like, I was the fat kid with the mullet when I started going to Tom's house. And Natalie always saw me as cool. Natalie was very cool. And, like, she always treated me like I was her. And then, like, I turned into her. It was weird. Then we look like twins. It's, like, so weird in a year. I, like, lost the weight. I started doing cross country, and, like, I turned into Natalie. And she even helped me. Like, the first time in my life I ever got straight A's was when I was best friends with Natalie, because Natalie got straight A's. And she did help me on a few assignments, but like, not, like, fully did them. She, like, taught me. I was so lost at school that I didn't know how to even do the assignment. And she would sit with me and be like, you need to find these resources, you need this, then I'll help you type it. Like, she did still teach me. And I remember I was like, I'm gonna get straight A's, because Natalie does. And I got straight A's. And that was the only time in my whole life I did, is in 8th grade. But Tom, like, taught me to believe in myself. Like, he would treat me like I was really cool and funny and, like, could do anything. And I remember he took me skiing for the first time. I knew nothing about it. My parents never took me anywhere. Like, every summer vacation I went with Tom and Natalie and their family. We went to California. That's when I saw, like, families do this. I want to do this. This is so important. So Tom would be like, where are we going this summer? And we'd plan our trip together. It was so fun. Yeah, and so he took me skiing, and I took off my skis, was crying, walking down the mountain, and Tom told me, one day when your confidence is there, you'll be fine. So, like, later, so that was in the winter. That summer, we went on Jesse, my boyfriend at the time's houseboat with his family, like, a bunch of families. They had a houseboat together, and I remember I wanted to water ski, and I was like, picturing, like, falling down the mountain, and I was like, and then I, like, thought of, like, Tom said, you can do it. You just gotta believe. And I, like, was the best water skier that day. And I got back, Tom was on the boat, and I was like, Tom, he said, I told you, once your confidence hit, you'll be fine. And, like, he always saw me differently. So anyways, 7th grade, I'm sitting in church, and they're like, Tom talked about Russia, and he was like, you know, if God calls you, go. And I was like, God calls me. And I felt like my heart started racing, and I, like, felt like you need to go. And I was like, this is the first time I ever felt like that calling. It's just like when you're supposed to pray. Do you ever know, like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, or you're supposed to talk to somebody and you don't want to? Like, your heart starts racing. So I got home and I was like, Mom, I want to go to Russia. God called me. Like, I felt this thing. I think it's God's calling. I want to go to Russia. My brother had gone, so it wasn't, like, so crazy. And she's like, Crystal, this is even weird. I forgot my brother had gone. She was like, we don't have money. Now the story's kind of changing. Why did you have money for Justin to go? I think he went when he was in high school, so I think he paid his way. Or typical. But I was like, she's like, well, we don't have any money to send you to Russia. And I was like, well, God's calling. Like, it's so innocent. I'm like, God called me, so I'm supposed to go. She's like, okay, well, good luck. We're not paying for you, so you got to find the money. So I was like, okay, so I just kept praying. At that time, I was journaling, and I was like writing my prayers in a journal at night, because I was kind of a loner, so like that's what I would do. And I would pray, okay, God, if you called me to Russia, help me get there. And so Michelle Hallinan, who was running the trip, she kept calling me, okay, Crystal, and I had my own line, so they'd call my line and be like, in 2 weeks, your deposit of $500 is due. And back then, that's like $2,000 now. Yeah. And I was like, okay, Michelle, thank you. So I'd be like, Mom, the $500 is due in like 2 weeks. She's like, I told you, we don't have the money for Russia. You're not going to Russia. And I was like, okay. And I remember praying like, okay, God, if this is where you're calling me, why isn't it working? So then a week before, Michelle's like, Crystal, we're starting to get tickets and stuff. I need that deposit. And I was like, okay. My mom said no. So I just kept praying. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, please, God, I really feel like I'm supposed to go. And I'd write it in my journal, the deposit, $500 deposit. I never forgot it. So it's the day of the deposit. And all day I'm like, okay, Mom, she's like, we don't have it. And I was going to call Michelle like the next day and be like, sorry. So it was like 9 o'clock at night. My phone rang on my own line, and it was Michelle. And she's like, hey, Crystal. And I was like, I'm sorry, Michelle. My mom, I guess they just can't do it. I guess I can't go. And she's like, well, that's why I'm calling. I just want to let you know we got an anonymous $500 donation in your name.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I still choke up about it. It was like the first time I saw God. I was like, oh my God. Not to use his name in vain, but I was like, this is real. Like, oh my gosh. And she's like, you're going to Russia. And I was like, Mom, did you pay it? Did you pay it? And she's like, no, we didn't pay it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Tom?
Now, as an adult, I think it was Tom, but as a kid, I didn't know that till like I just told the story.
Yeah.
It's like, that was totally Tom.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it for years. Like, for years. And I was like, this is God working. And like, Tom is so amazing. Like, Natalie went too. So like, of course, the best friends are going to go together.
Yeah.
But Tom gave me like, he gave me at the airport. My mom didn't send me like with spending money or anything. I love her to pieces, but like, what the heck? And Tom gave me $200 at the airport for spending money. And I was like, that was big money. That was like a lot of money. But on that trip, I saw God work so much. Like, I remember there was this guy in the wheelchair, and we were at an orphanage praying over him. And the whole group, we would wake up and pray. You would pray midday, and then you would pray. And I never had done that, like, before, prayed that much. And so we would pray for these things every day. And you group up in the morning, and you pray over things. And in the week, and we went to Russia for 2 weeks. So I was away from my parents in Russia for 2 weeks, no phone. Like, it's crazy that I did that. But I was with Natalie and Tom, which makes sense, like, if Kennedy was with me. But we prayed over this guy in the wheelchair, and we all put our hands on him, and we prayed. And he hadn't walked in 20 years. And I promise you, he got up and started walking. It was something I never will forget the rest of my life. And through those missions, like when we would pray on little things, like something wasn't working at the house and we would pray on it, it would start working. Like, we saw God work so much in a way that I never will forget it. Like, it was like, this is so real. Like, God is real. And I like saw it. And Troy, my brother-in-law, was telling me a story the other day about a guy on a mission trip in Guatemala, and he was like in the woods by himself, and these guys were gonna come kill him. Like, they were in the wild, like this guy was on their territory and they were gonna kill him. And all of a sudden they saw 8 guys all surround him. And then the people were like, well, we're not gonna go after all of them. That's crazy. And later they went and talked, they ended up meeting the people that were gonna kill him. It was their land and the other guy. And they were like, oh my gosh, we were gonna kill you. We didn't know who you were, but there was all those guys around you. And he was like, no one was around me, I was by myself. And he's like, no, there was 8 guys surrounding you. We saw them. And he was like, no, I've been on this trip by myself. No one surrounded me. And I guess later he found out that his friends that were in America were golfing. And all of a sudden one of their friends was like, I feel like we need to pray for Bruce. And there was 8 of them. And they prayed for him. And at that moment when they prayed was when those 8 guys in illusion were around him, so he didn't get killed.
Yeah.
So like, that gives me the chills. And so Troy said, when you're on a mission trip and God calls you out, he's like, in America, the devil is so surrounded us that we don't see those miracles as clearly because it's so infiltrated in our lifestyle. But he's like, in these countries and on these trips, when you're taken away from like where the devil is like so all around, you see God work like that. And I was like, that's so crazy. Like, it's hard to believe, but I like believe it. Like, it's crazy.
Totally.
Yeah. And I was like, that's weird because when I grew up and went to missions, that's when I saw God work so clearly. And you don't see that over here as much. Like, you know?
Well, and like, I used to when we used to be in our Bible study in our 20s, I used to write like on a prayer. I used to have a commute to work for 30 minutes in the morning because I lived in Glendale and I worked in Scottsdale. And so I would write like everyone's prayer requests from the week and like I'd put them in there and I'd pray every day on my drive. And then you'd see them come true. I feel like sometimes when you're like in life and you're not, and I remember looking at my card and I'm like, oh my God, every one of these came true that I prayed for. Like every prayer request. And like now it's easy to be like, oh, like prayers weren't answered, or because you're not like seeing it so clearly, you know? And when you're on a mission trip, I feel like it's so, there's no distraction. You're just seeing God work and there's no any other junk around, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing I'm excited for.
Yeah.
The other things, I think though, when you grow, I think God does take away your comforts. So I think there's going to be a lot of comforts taken away for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be just one of those. But I would come home from mission trips and it would be hard to like relate with the real world. It was weird. It was like, you're so different. It was like hard to come home. You know, that was really hard. But I think when we did the prayer card, I think CCV had a start one or something for our Bible study. And I remember we were praying for like one of our friends.
Yeah.
We would write 3 names down of people you want to bring to God. And I remember like, I think 2 of them came to God. And I remember like crossing them off.
Yeah.
My dad had that in, one of the things I wanted of my dad's was his Bible. It's like my dad read the Bible every day, always growing up. And I found some note cards in there of prayer requests and all of them have come true. Like, it's really cool to see that happen. I think that's like something I want to start doing. Like in my notes, like putting the things we're praying about. But speaking of prayer, Brady, our friend that we prayed about last week, is doing so good. He's off the ventilator. He's off like his neck brace. He got up and stood up today.
Yeah.
Like for quite a big injury, that is like a miracle.
Yeah, the doctors, she said they were like, this is crazy that he's doing so good.
But that's what's crazy about prayer is like, even like we pray, we were there Saturday morning. We went, me, Teisha, and Jen, and we left at a certain time. And when we pulled up to the hospital, they had just found out from the doctors and nurses that they were going to pull everything, which they had tried to do a few days before and it didn't work. And so we ran up there like, let's pray with you real quick.
Yeah.
And we all prayed. And then I always am like, do you think? And then that time it worked.
Yeah.
And like, even when we were in the waiting room and we prayed those 2 times, it's like, we never know what's on the other side of our prayers. Mm-hmm. Like when we're supposed to stop and pray over something, you never know if you're surrounding them with an army right then.
Yeah.
You know, like even our kids.
Yeah.
Like if you stop during the day and pray for them, you never know what's happening at school that they need that prayer. Totally. Yeah.
Well, sometimes when I'm like at a stoplight, you know, you see the homeless person, you know, like I'll pray if I don't have any money. And I feel like it does something, you know? Like,
yeah, that's so smart. When I used to hear ambulances, I used to pray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just weird, you know? But like it's a feeling that comes over you that you're like, oh, I gotta pray for this person, and it's like that's God telling you there's something, you know?
Well, and I think it goes back to the paradigm thing too that we were talking about. When you write things down and you make them like real, I think that's part of like the prayer and the part of like my goals too. I usually set, you know me, I set goals for the year and I put them on my phone. And it's crazy, like when you put something on paper, you like see it. And then like by the end of the year, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize like I did do a lot of those things. But they're weird. Like a mission trip has been on my like goals list for so long. Like it's when I'm like, yes, I can't wait. But like it's like weird things. Like I do date nights is a goal of ours. Or like little things that movie night, it was a goal of mine, like with the kids. You know, and they're dumb, but you don't realize when you put them on paper and you start envisioning them and envisioning these outcomes that you want, I do think it helps. Yeah. So like you should start writing down your prayer requests more. Mm-hmm. That's really believable. All right, you done?
Yeah.
You keep looking at your phone.
No, I'm good.
You got something important?
No, just
the kids. How are you liking summer so far?
I'm liking it.
Yeah? Oh, I want to tell our listeners too, talking about things happening, the pool is filled. Everybody heard about the drama of the pool. So pray that it holds water.
I have a good feeling.
We're going on the mission trip.
I'm going to envision it.
Yeah, I keep envisioning it too. I am going to go on the mission trip, and that's like what happened is we were gone. And when we got back, the pool was like down. So Kyle's like, this feels like deja vu. Like the pool, we're having so much fun. We went on out of town, and then it was down. So like, just keep praying that it holds.
I have a good feeling.
I really hope so. We really like it so far again. But that was another thing. Let me see what else. Church was so good. Can we just say that one more time? Okay, it was like the best service ever. Maybe Dana could link the live version. It was John Maxwell, and it was about leadership, but it was about like loving people and how divisive our country is. And it was like a message that I feel like we haven't heard in so many years of like, don't forget to love everyone, not love people that are like you. And I feel like that's kind of what happened in the political divide. It's like, oh,
well, yeah, because it's kind of what it was talking about, like how, and Jesus was the ultimate high road leader, and how in the world today, there's not a lot of high road leaders, there's a lot of low road leaders. And like he talked about what being a high road leader looks like, and it was so good.
Yeah, it was so good. And it was like, love everyone. And he talked about like the people that you want to help the most, like Jesus, get down and wash their feet. Don't judge them. Don't criticize them. Get with them. Help them.
Right.
Be one with them. Understand them. I think that's like so the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're doing this. Especially like, I see it a lot with kids. And I see Maddie even doing it. Like, oh, well, they're, you know, this. Like Maddie had a friend that I love. I love this kid. And he dressed like a girl for graduation. And I was like, he did what? But I know him. And I'm like, oh, I love him. Like, I don't care. Be the girl. Yeah. You know, but like, it's funny because like Kyle doesn't know him at all. So that seems so crazy. And like me, I'm like, oh, it's just, he's just, if he's doing that, he's doing that. Who cares? Yeah. Like, because you know him and love him. Who cares if he wants to dress as a girl for graduation? Like, and he like looked good. Like it was weird. Like his hair was curled. And like, I didn't notice it was even him. I was like, oh my gosh. But, you know, like you never know, and I know this kid specifically, and there's a lot going on in his life. The last thing you need is someone to judge you when you're just finding yourself. Yeah. Like, and that's something that I think everyone's so divisive on. Well, they do this, or they believe this, or they are like this. You know, it's like, who cares? We don't know them. Just love them. Yeah. Love them. Start loving me.
Well, when I was in middle school is a hard time.
It is. You're finding yourself.
I thought I was a gangster. Yeah. I wore 2 pairs of socks. I wore black lip liner.
So did I for a minute. Yeah. Yours was longer.
Yeah, it was a little minute. And so, but I think like, obviously today it looks a little different. Maybe it's dressing like a girl, or maybe it's, you know, but it's along the same lines of finding your identity. Yeah. And I feel like everyone's so quick to judge. Yes. When those people are just maybe just trying to figure it out.
Well, and I think kids aren't allowed to mess up as much because I think parents are so worried about their post.
Yeah, well, you know, like, because everything's so public now. Yes. Yeah, like when your kid messed up before, it was like only the few people knew. But now if your kid's screwing up, it's like the whole world knows.
Like your mom would have posted you as a gangster.
Yeah, like, exactly.
She's now a gangster. Right. And everyone would be talking about it.
Right. Or they're not posting and you're like, why aren't they posting their kid? Yeah. And you see other people posting their kid. Well, this kid's this.
But they're just kids. Like I was so whacked. I was dressing as a boy unintentionally, just wearing my brother's clothes with the mullet. And my mom could be like, well, she's a boy now. Maybe you thought I was a boy for a minute. Yeah. Like I was dressing completely like a boy.
Totally.
But I think it was like, I think what happened is when I dressed as a boy, I didn't get as much attention for being such a weird looking girl. It like kind of went. Yeah. With the mullet and the boy clothes. It's like people didn't say as much.
Tomboy vibes, yeah.
Yeah, but when I was trying to be a girl and I looked so different from a girl, they were a lot more critical. I think looking back, that's maybe why I did that during that time. It was like I was just trying to camouflage. Yeah. However I could have camouflaged to not have anyone talk about me that day. Yeah. And like as a girl, it was like the other girls looked like this and I wasn't fitting. Right. But I kind of looked like the boys. So I'm like, okay, this works. So you never know why someone's doing it. I didn't want to be a boy. I just wanted people to leave me alone. Yeah. You know? And as a boy, they never talked to me. And that was better. Boys are just, it's hard. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Tisha's gonna pray for you.
Yep. If you're really struggling, please reach out to a qualified professional, because that's not us.
We're just here to share our journey.
And to make you laugh.
And cry.
And pick your nose.
And touch your boobs.